Wellness Center and Spirit of Health. If you haven't been here before, I know there's some new faces here before. This is a full-service wellness center. Angel owns this side. She's a certified colon hydrotherapist. She has 3 massage therapists, bar and Fred sauna. She has ion foot baths, ear candling as well. My little section's over there. That's Spirit of Health, my office, and then I have a health food store. And the reason I opened a store is because I just feel like there's a lot of synthetics and a lot of junk in health food stores today. And so the motto behind my store is as close to the way God created it as possible. I'm very big on the source of where all my products come from and the quality of it. They come from nature, not from a man in a white coat in a laboratory, which unfortunately is where a lot of supplements are coming from these days. There's a couple mottos we go by. One is the Spirit of Health is in you. We believe that everybody, through education and through knowledge, has the ability to be in control of their own health. Not having to rely on doctors unless you break a leg or get in a car accident or something like that. You should be in charge of your own health. We have been for thousands of years. It shouldn't be any different today. Also, my favorite motto is we love God, we love people, and we love health. Simple as that. So the class tonight, very important subject. It always has the biggest turnout when we talk about sugar and sugar addiction. As you can see on the handout that I handed out, I call sugar a drug, a legalized drug, basically. And you'll see that, you'll see why we call it that. And studies have been shown proving that that's how dangerous sugar can be to the body. This is kind of an older statistic, and I've seen different statistics, but out of 191 countries ranked, America ranked 37. We know that hands down across the world we spend triple plus what anybody else spends on healthcare. Yet we're one of the most unhealthiest nations. And when it comes to industrialized nations, we by far have one of the worst healthcare systems. And worse healthcare systems than some third world countries, which is pretty frightening. I believe a lot of that has to do with sugar. In fact, the vast majority of it. There's obviously a combination of factors, but if you wanted to pick one underlying cause of most illness in this country, it's sugar. This is some statistics on the increased rates of diabetes. And there's not the 2010 statistics obviously yet, but it's definitely an industrialized nation disease. And we're going to talk a little bit more about diabetes later, but these are just some. And this is, believe me, this is about 5% of the list, okay, of what sugar can do to the body. But we're just going to talk about some key things on how sugar damages the body. It suppresses the immune system, okay? If you have an autoimmune illness, that's because your immune system's totally out of whack. Sugar's the worst thing for you. If you get sick or you're not feeling well, the worst thing you can do is eat sugar. Eat in general, but eating sugar specifically will completely knock down your immune system, and it'll take you that much longer to recover. This is a big one with me. I'm big on minerals and the importance of minerals. And this is specific to calcium and magnesium, but the fact is sugar will wipe all the minerals out of your body. Your minerals compete for absorption, and when they have to fight against sugar, they're going to lose the battle every time. Because sugar is like a poison to the body, and it has to try to remove it as quick as possible. So it really affects your mineral consumption. So anybody who's eating a lot of sugar, too much sugar, processed sugar, refined sugars, if you're going to do that, you better be taking a mineral supplement, because you're severely deficient in minerals. And I believe people are deficient in minerals anyway, but sugar is one of the main reasons for that. And of course, if you guys have any questions, just throw up your hand right away. Osteoporosis, thyroid problems, hormone imbalances. We're going to talk a little bit more detail about hormone imbalances. Tomorrow is a class on hormone imbalance for men and women. Usually there's mostly women at the class, but of course men are welcome as well. Men have hormones too. Sometimes they don't like to think they do, but especially when it comes to hormonal problems. But osteoporosis, this is a big one. Okay? Some of the things I say sometimes sound crazy because they're totally contrary to what everything you hear out there. But if we cut sugar and dairy out of our diets, there'd be no osteoporosis in this country. The highest rates of sugar and dairy in the world have the highest rates of osteoporosis. Germany, Denmark, the Scandinavian countries, the United States. Highest rates of dairy consumption, highest rates of osteoporosis. We're going to do a whole class on bone health next week, and you'll understand why dairy is one of the worst things you can put in your body for bone health. But I don't want to get too off on that subject right now. Thyroid issues is a biggie. So many people have thyroid problems. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's misdiagnosed because it's sugar in the body that's making it appear that you have an underactive thyroid, when it's a fact it's the sugar that's causing the thyroid to get out of function. So what do? They give you thyroid medication, which you become reliant on for the rest of your life, which was completely unnecessary because there's always a reason that the thyroid fails. Hormone imbalances. I wrote this down because I thought it was kind of important, because a lot of women deal with this, and we're going to talk about it in more detail tomorrow in the hormone class. But a lot of women really crave sugar right before their cycle, right before their time of the month. And there's a reason for that. It's the whole theory of, it's not a theory, I mean it's been studied for thousands of years, but in Chinese medicine, yin and yang, hot and cold, what's also known as expansion and contraction. A lot of times before a woman's cycle, she's got a lot of stress. She eats salt, she eats meat, things like that. Those are very contracting things, okay? But when you start to have your cycle, you need to shed your lining, which means you need to open up and shed your lining. And that makes you crave sugar, which is the opposite end of that spectrum. That's what's expansive. Okay, so that's why so many women crave sugar right before their cycle. I don't know if any of you experienced that, but it's pretty common. So a couple of things you can do is to try not to eat salty foods and meats right before your cycle, and try to maintain that throughout your period. Get plenty of rest, avoid sugar, and then eat as many alkalizing meals as you can at the beginning of your period, like soups, vegetable soups, juicing, juicing fresh vegetables like cucumber and celery and things like that will prepare your body so you don't experience those symptoms that a lot of women experience, those negative symptoms. Candida and fungus, #1 problem with health in America. It's even worse because it's completely, I don't want to say completely, but it's 90% missed by modern medicine. They don't recognize it. If you have a yeast infection, they'll give you something for a yeast infection. If you have thrush, they might give you something for thrush. But unless it's really bad and it's a major problem and it's been a problem for a long time, they don't even recognize it. And there's so many symptoms related to Candida and fungus in the body that people don't even know what they have. People don't even know what they have going on. And then it's even more challenging to figure out how to overcome it, because when it becomes systemic and a problem throughout the whole body, it's very, very challenging. I've battled it myself, and I'm going to talk to you at the end, towards the end, on the solution. I always give people solutions to their problems. There's kind of Band-Aid cover-up solutions, and then there's long-term healing solutions. Unfortunately, the long-term healing solutions sometimes are so contrary to the way people are living, they don't even want to attempt it unless they have a chronic illness. However, I'm going to show you how to do it. Linked with all inflammatory conditions. That would include autoimmune conditions too. Diabetes, I mean, that's a given. Andrea showed me a poster that she teaches at elementary school.
It was in the cafeteria, but in the kitchen, so that all the kitchen staff looked at it every day.
And it said, one of the things on it said, it was Mythbusters. And it said, sugar causes diabetes. Busted. That it was a myth. But then the next sentence under it says, if you have diabetes, watch your carbohydrate and sugar intake. I mean, could we be confusing our children any more right now?
You can eat it all you want, but then when you get diabetes, watch out.
Right, exactly.
Really
We'll give you a drug so you can control it, right?
Well, it doesn't cause type 1.
Correct.
It's just type 2.
Type 2. But type 2 is 95% of people that have diabetes. So.
Especially where Andrea works.
It is not children.
And there's all kinds of, well, I don't even want to get into that. But insulin, I mean, people think insulin is, you can just take insulin and kind of deal with diabetes. Insulin's a drug. You know, there's not people somewhere hooked up and, you know, producing insulin so that you can use it for other people. You know, it's a synthetic, it's a drug. People think it's something like natural. It's very dangerous. Obesity. One of the things I preach, if I should use that word, is fats will never make you fat. Sugars make you fat. Okay? We're so convinced that we got to watch our fat intake and not eat fats, and we're not eating coconuts or avocados or some of these amazing foods because they have fat in them. Sugar's what's making America fat, not fats. Now, obviously, if you ate deep fat fried foods every day, you're going to gain some weight. When I talk fats, I'm talking good fats. Your nuts, your seeds, your avocados, your coconut, all your seed oils. They're amazing, amazing for health, and they're actually one of the key things you can take for weight loss. Coconut oil is by far the best for weight loss. But it's a very important concept to understand. When you have too much sugar in your system and your body can't either use it for energy or release it from the body, it's going to turn and store as fat, like you're getting ready to hibernate for the winter.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
The line above that, the CHD, what does that refer to?
Coronary heart disease.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Cholesterol and blood pressure. You want to have beautiful skin? Don't eat sugar. I'm telling you, it destroys you at the cellular level. Which your skin's made of cells. Your skin's going to start to sag and get weak from sugar damage.
Can you define what you mean by sugar? Do you mean just the processed
We're going to
sugar?
go into all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to go into all that. Raises triglycerides, dental problems. Some of you might have heard of Dr. Weston Price. I always like to use him as an example. He traveled all around the world. He was a dentist, and he was curious to see what other people's teeth would look like in other countries that were in different cultures, that had different lives, that ate different foods. And he was fascinated when he went to all these different cultures, from Eskimos who ate seal and whale blubber to Hawaiians who ate mostly fresh fruit. And what he found among all these different cultures is they didn't have tooth problems. They didn't have cavities. They didn't have periodontal disease. They didn't have gums rotting out of their mouth. And he just found that fascinating. Less than 1% of the population, no matter which one he went to, had any kind of tooth problems whatsoever. So we know it's directly related to our diet and the way we eat, and why our teeth are so messed up here in America. Mood and depression, mood swings. I mean, there's a huge roller coaster effect that goes on with your mood, and it's just, sugar's one of the worst things for that.